Hello out there, you people out in Access Framingham area. Welcome to Nick's Corner TV, and I'm Nick Paganella, the producer. And today we have a very exciting individual who travels the world and loves to do it. He's a member of the Merchant Marine. He's a Framingham resident. He's married, and his name is Brendan Raffay. How are you today, Brendan?
I'm doing good, Nick. How are you?
Good, good. Glad to see you here and welcome as a guest at Nick's Corner TV.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's great. I've talked to you a little bit about the Merchant Marine, and we're going to talk about it. A little bit here, a little bit there, the good parts, the bad parts, and all the responsibilities that go with it.
All right.
You're married?
Yes.
Okay. And where's your hometown?
I'm originally from Stanhope, New Jersey, but just recently my wife and I moved up into Framingham.
Oh, about how long have you been in Framingham now?
Just about a year now.
About a year.
Yep. And moved right next door to you.
Next door to me. Wow, that's something that's really interesting. I hope you pull the shades down at night.
Yeah, the cat doesn't want to look out there anyways.
Oh, you got a cat, huh?
Yep.
Tell me about your cat.
It's my wife's cat. He's the ruler of the house when she's not home. And yeah, I'm just there to give him food sometimes.
Yeah. How long have you had the cat?
Cat is 11 years old now.
Do you bring him on the ship with you?
I do not, but my friend on my last ship brought their cat on board.
Really?
Yep.
Does the cat roam all over the ship?
No, the cat doesn't roam the ship. They kept him in the room, but one of our ships does have a dog that knows what floor to get off on the elevator. Knows where to go to the captain's room and where to go get food.
Oh, they're pretty individually intelligent.
Yes, they are.
You've got a hat there. What does that hat say?
This is a hat from my school. I attended New York Maritime College in Bronx, and it has the name of the school's training ship, Empire State 6.
Empire State 6?
Yes.
And what college was that?
New York Maritime College.
Oh, you went there?
Yes, I did. 4-year engineering degree with the Coast Guard engineering license.
Oh, you had to be under the auspices of the Coast Guard regulations?
Yeah, while at school, all the maritime academies must adhere to Coast Guard regulations while also wearing Navy uniforms. But we are all civilian members of society.
Okay. Do you work on Navy ships?
Yes, I do. I work on civilian owned ships that are operated by the U.S. Navy. So I'm just your next door neighbor. I'm a civilian, but I work for the United States Navy. I have federal access. I have federal plans and everything. But as a civilian, I'm allowed to be free of the overreaching umbrella of the Navy.
Well, I imagine you have to get a Corey check.
Yeah.
Well, tell me about the beginnings of your training way back at the college there.
So it's a normal 4-year college. Just you show up, and instead of the first day, you have student orientation. They put you in a barber chair and they shave your head. And we had it's a little less than the normal military boot camps, but we had a 10-day indoctrination period. Early morning PT, classes to learn about seafaring and the maritime industry, on top of just basic engineering courses and very simple, break you in very nicely to the school. And then from then on, it's a 8-semester school. Go fall, spring, just like anyone else would. But every summer, the school, the training ship Empire State, it goes on a cruise around Europe and the Caribbean, takes all the students with them, and you travel the world while learning how to be a seafarer, learn the principles and the systems on a ship, learning how to navigate it, and you also get sea days that are required to obtain your Merchant Marine's license.
And you have to go the 4 years and graduate before you get your license?
Yep. So a contingent to graduate is you get the license and the degree. If I didn't get my degree, I don't graduate. If I didn't get the license, I don't graduate. You have to obtain both, and it's kind of like a minor. So those students at normal four-year colleges who go and they add a minor onto their major, that's part of our program, and we just have to go through and get those extra couple credits this semester, and just to make sure that we graduate on time.
Does everybody that joins there really wants to be in the Merchant Marine for the 4 years? That's their particular, anybody that goes there is particularly going there for that reason?
Not necessarily. Lately, the schools have opened up civilian options where you can go to obtain an engineering degree, or we call it a DEC degree. You can get a degree in marine transportation or marine environmental science, and you can just go out into the world you can work at a desk, you can go work on research vessels. As a non-member of the crew, you're part of a research staff or something. But there is the option to go to the school, join the regiment of cadets. You wear the uniform, you do the PT, but you don't get the Coast Guard license. So those are different options that have been put forward in the past couple of years to those schools to open enrollment, grow the school and grow the brand, and increase knowledge of the Merchant Marine.
Well, now let's say you're a regular Merchant Marine student. Do you actually have a uniform of some form?
While at school, yes, we wear the Navy. At New York Maritime, we wear the Navy khaki uniform, khaki pants, khaki shirt, khaki hat. I'm sure you've seen it around a couple times.
Yeah.
And then we have our dress uniform. The summer, we wear our salt and peppers, black pants, white top. And then
Wait a minute, salt and pepper?
Yep.
White pants and...
We wear black pants with a white short sleeve.
Black pants
Yep.
and a white top.
Yep.
Okay.
And then in the winter, we have our service dress blues, black pants, white long sleeve with the tie, and the black jacket.
Very nice. Oh, what about a hat?
We
Cover.
have combination of the garrison covers. For us, we wear the school seal as well as your rank at the school, and it goes from 4th class, 3rd class, 2nd class, and then 1st class. When you're 1st class, they allow you to wear bars in your cover. So for me, I was a company XO, so I got to wear 3 bars on my garrison cover. And then in our dress uniform, we had combination covers, the standard Navy combo cover.
How did you qualify for the executive officer?
I applied for it and had a whole interview process, and they deemed that I was worthy for that job. And my job was making watch bills for the students on weekends, because the training ship is manned by students 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And even during the nights, someone has to be on board just to make sure that everything's safe, nothing's breaking down. So it was my responsibility to assign people time slots when they were either in the engine room, at the gangway, or on the bridge of the ship, just to make sure everything was all good.
Well, I know where's the gangway?
The gangway, the ship is usually right in the side of the ship somewhere, and it's a way for you to get from the pier onto the vessel. Sometimes
okay,
it's
that's
ladders.
what I thought it was. I'm not a Navy
Yeah.
guy. That's a real basic thing. Somebody watching this will say, he doesn't know what the gangway is? And what are the other 2 parts that you mentioned?
They had pier security watch. So
No, the bridge.
the bridge of the ship, you had someone who was sitting on the ship bridge, and every hour they had to do what's called a DTEX round.
A what?
A DTEX round.
A detect?
Yep, DETEX.
Okay,
And
detects, yeah.
You walk around. The ship was built in the 50s, so it had all of its old components, and it was
Yeah,
converted.
just like me.
Yeah, it was converted in the 80s to be used as a training ship. So they still use the old method of, it looked like a little clock that you wore around your shoulder, and there was 30 places on the ship with a key.
Oh,
And
you had to go there and they'd...
Yep, stick the key in and turn it, and then someone would check to make sure you did it in order in a reasonable time. Otherwise, as a cadet, you got written up. Nowadays, they have electromagnetic chips. You have a little pen you walk around with magnets. You just walk up to a point and you stick it on the wall.
Isn't that nice?
Oh, it's way easier.
Now, would you say that there are 1 or 2 of people that start at the maritime training and get enough check marks that they are asked to leave?
Yep, we've had a couple people who have been asked to leave due to disciplinary reasons, physical reasons. They also do drug testing. There are very rare instances where there are students who they partake in drugs and unfortunately they get removed from the school because we are governed by a federal institution. So we have to adhere to all federal rules and regulations. But during my time, there have been a couple who got kicked out for having too many demerits, we call them, too many strikes. But there have been people who came back after being kicked out and they're given a clean slate and they get the opportunity to do it again. And the few that I know, they do have successful careers out in the maritime industry.
Is it co-ed?
It's co-ed, yes.
Even when you started, what, 8 years ago?
Yeah, I started in 2016 and it was co-ed. At the time, the Commandant of Cadets was actually the first female officer to graduate from the school. And I don't know when she graduated exactly, but the school now has been co-ed for 40 to 50 years.
40 or 50 years?
Yep.
That's great. Do you have, now, I'm going to jump ahead, way ahead.
Yep.
But I'm going to bounce back again to the training school. But have you worked with other engineers, females?
Yes, my last ship, we had 2 female licensed officers, both third engineers. One of them was a graduate from my school. When I was a company XO, she was one of the people in my company. I remember her. And the other was a graduate of the Merchant Marine Academy across the river in Kings Point, New York. Both very fine engineers, and I would have the pleasure to sail with them again.
You would work with them again? You'd be looking
Absolutely.
forward to it?
Yeah.
Okay. What are the qualifications to become a merchant marine? I mean, physical ones. Do you have to carry so many pounds or something? What are the basic things for you to even be considered?
You have to be 18 years of age to join the American Merchant Marine. You have to be able to pass a Coast Guard physical. You have to be able to lift 50 pounds. You have to be able to climb stairs and ladders. It's not the easiest job in the world. It's pretty physically demanding. There's a lot of walking. Steel deck plates. My knees already feel almost as bad as yours, I'd assume. But there's a lot of people out there who...
You've been looking through my shades there. You could tell I had weak knees. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, it's physically demanding. So depending on which governing body you follow, you have to get a new physical every 2 or 5 years, just to ensure that you are able to.
50 pounds. Yep. That's a lot.
50 pounds is a plate.
I'm imagining carrying 50 pounds up a ladder that's 8 or 10 feet high.
Yeah, it's there's some days where you shouldn't be carrying weights up ladders.
I'm not trying to, there are some people that are small in stature, and they still got to carry that 50 pounds.
So you don't have to carry the 50 pounds up the ladder. You just have to prove that you can do both separately. You really shouldn't be carrying weights upstairs. There are ways on ships to get...
Oh, in other words, you don't have a 50 pound to go all the way up. You can carry 10 pounds and then 14 pounds.
Nope. I just have to stand there, pick up a box, walk 10 feet and put it down, and then separately, with no weight, I have to prove that I can go upstairs or a ladder.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
You carry that, place it down, then without any weight, you go up the ladder.
Yes.
Okay, you don't have to carry the 50 up the ladder.
No, because
that
goes into workplace violations.
I'm so grateful you told me that, because I was thinking of going to the training school. Of course, next week I'll be 92 years old. Is there an age limit?
I have not seen an upper age limit. I have sailed with someone in their 90s.
Really?
Yep.
I'm excited.
World War II
I'm ready
veteran.
I'm ready to take. Okay. Can we leave now?
Yeah, sure. Why not? But the 92-year-old I've sailed with, he was a watch officer on the training ship, and he joined the Navy, lied about his age in World War II so he can join, and ended up getting his Coast Guard license as an officer after he graduated. And when I was a student in school, I'd go downstairs for the 4 a.m. to 8 a.m. watch. He'd already be down there doing his morning calisthenics in the engine room, 110 degrees.
He lied about his age.
Yep.
I lied a lot of things, but I never lied about my age.
He lied about it, got away with it, and he was a phenomenal mariner.
Okay, now, We're going to go way back now to the beginning of your school training.
Mm-hmm.
And how did you turn around and decide that you wanted to be a member of the Merchant Marine?
So I did not know about the Merchant Marine until my senior year in high school. My family, the only boats we owned was canoes and kayaks. Never lived on the ocean. And my dad actually gave me the brochures for New York Maritime and told me to take a look at it. And I told him, it looks cool, but it's not for me. He himself went to Virginia Military Institute. So I told myself I didn't want that life. I didn't want military barracks style life. I wanted to go to a school out of state. I didn't want to go in a city. I was actually planning on going to Virginia Tech to be a chemical engineer at the time. And my dad just kept bugging me. He's like, hey, check this school out. It's actually the only college brochure I threw out in my whole senior year of high school. And
You threw it out?
yeah, I had a pile with all my all the brochures and everything, and it was actually the only one I put in the garbage.
Wow.
And he eventually just kept nagging me, and to get him to be quiet, I applied for it. He said he'll pay the application fee, and as a high school kid, I'm like, oh, yeah, sure, why not? And he's like, perfect, you applied, we're going to go visit. And we visited the campus. I walked around, and the campus is in the Bronx. It's on a peninsula under the Throgs Neck Bridge. Beautiful area. You have a view of the New York City skyline, the Long Island Sound.
That's where the Maritime Academy is?
Yes. If you're driving to Long Island from this area, you're most likely going to take the Throgs Neck Bridge, and you drive right over the campus, right over Fort Schuyler, which is situated at the end of our campus.
Schuyler?
Yep, named after Philip Schuyler. If anyone watches Hamilton, you'll know.
Okay.
But,
Looks like I'll have to watch Hamilton.
Yeah, we have a fort that was originally used to defend New York Harbor from attacks from Long Island, from the Long Island Sound. And Franklin Delano Roosevelt ended up gifting it to the New York Maritime College. So they moved from the east side of New York to the Bronx and Throgsmore Point, which is where it currently resides today. But when I got out of that car, my dad said he saw my eyes light up, and here I am, a couple years later, graduate of the school, and then I've been in the industry for 5.5 years now. And that day was the day I decided that this is what I wanted to do.
When was your last tour?
I just finished up my last tour in August of this past year. I spent 6 months on the United States naval ship Comfort, which is the hospital ship.
USN Comfort.
USNS Comfort, yes.
Okay, I think I got a picture of that right here.
Yep. Yep, so that's the ship I just spent a couple months on. For those who don't know, that the U.S. Navy has 2 hospital ships that they operate, the USNS Mercy and the USNS Comfort. Both are old converted tankers. They're now steamships that are used only for hospital and, I don't remember the phrase. Refugees, they take in people who need help, and every year or other year they go down to South and Central America and they participate in Operation Continuing Promise.
That means you have citizens or people that live in those countries and you service them medically.
Yes.
Teeth inoculations.
Yep, so the ship is a fully equipped hospital. It has dental, it has optometry, it has CT scan rooms, 12 operating rooms. If I were ever to have a medical emergency at work, that's the place I want to be. I've had some of my coworkers in the past have actually had appendixes removed while on the ship, teeth pulled, and you're at sea, but guess what? You have doctors on board. You have people to take care of you. You have the facilities, which are great.
Now those doctors, are they part of the Merchant Marine?
So no, those doctors are either part of the United States Navy or they're outside contractors, people who volunteer, people who give up their time to go help people in need in other countries.
Okay.
So we have separate berthings for those non-enlisted, non-officers, non-Navy, non-Merchant Marine personnel. And anywhere from a vet to a cancer doctor, lives in those berthings, and they go to work just like I do every day. Just their work is running the hospital. And when we pull into port, they're the ones in those rooms making sure that the patients are getting the proper care that they need.
If you're, where were you birthed when you went down there on your last trip?
So the last trip, we had our kickoff tour in Miami, Florida. After that, we went down to St. George's, Grenada, stayed there for a couple days. We never pulled in, so we anchored out. So we had boats coming back and forth between, delivering patients. From there, we went to Panama. We pulled into a city called Colón, and then we went through the Panama Canal to Ecuador, and back through the canal. We anchored off the coast of Dominican Republic. We never pulled in again. The winds were too strong for the ship. And our last trip was St. George's, Trinidad, Tobago. And then from there, it's back home to Norfolk, Virginia.
Is that their home port?
Yep, the ship is at any point. If it's not on a mission or in a repair period, it'll be in Norfolk, Pier 1.
Norfolk's a big place.
Norfolk's a very large place.
You got to know where you're going, too.
Yep.
If you know where you're going, you can find it. But if you don't know where you're going, forget it.
Yep. There is a waterfront, and if you don't know where your ship is, but you know what it looks like, you can just drive down and find it. You can drive, if you need base access, but once you're on the base, you are allowed to drive right up to the ends of the piers and see what ships are there.
Okay, this is a picture of the U.S. Navy Comfort, USN Comfort.
Yep.
This is in going into New York Harbor.
Yes, it is.
And that's the, how long is that ship?
That ship is over 900 feet long.
That's 3 football fields.
Yeah.
That's a big ship.
Yeah, it's very
3
large.
football fields. I'd be tired for walking halfway through it. I'd be, wow.
Yeah. And there
Yeah.
are elevators to get around, but because it's an old tanker, and due to rules and regulations, after what happened with the Titanic, they had to make watertight bulkheads going all the way up and down a ship. If you want to get from one room to the other, you have to walk all the way up and all the way down. So if you want to check everywhere on the ship, like we have to do every few hours, you're walking up and down 7 flights of stairs.
In other words, that
7
barrier
times.
is solid.
Yep.
There's no doors.
No doors, no walkways, no nothing.
You have to go all the way up and then down and then down and then all the way up and then
Yep.
down.
And guess where all my equipment to check was? All the way at the bottom, every single time.
Okay, I thought you had an easy job.
As
No.
I work more, it gets easier.
No job is easy.
No.
That's what an old mechanic told me. Yeah. And let's get back to it's 900 feet long.
Yeah.
What were your responsibilities there?
So I was the second engineer in charge of the hospital plant. So most ships have one engineering plant. So the engineering plant provides propulsion, it provides power, it provides all your auxiliary needs, sewage, water, and air conditioning for the whole ship. But because this ship has a special mission, anyone who's ever worked in a hospital knows that losing power is the worst possible thing in the world, because then suddenly you lose you can lose all your equipment that your patients are on.
Even the toilets don't flush.
Even the toilets don't flush. So the USNS Comfort and the Mercy are split up into 2 separate plants. You have the propulsion plant, and that powers the shaft of the ship. It's the main engine, and it also provides all the necessary vitals, toilets. It provides air conditioning for the after part of the ship, which is where the merchant marines live. And then up forward, well, not up forward, but a couple feet ahead of that is called the auxiliary machinery room, and that has all the power, air conditioning, freshwater generation, and sewage required for the hospital to run, which is, it's meant for larger area and way more people. So my job was, I was the engineer in charge of the entire plant. I had to make sure that the generators were always running, providing power. I always had to make sure that the water tanks had enough water in them, and our freshwater generators were able to produce the water required for the consumption of the 900 personnel we carried on board, and also keep the air conditioning running. That something simple as a patch of seaweed we go through can go through a filter, and it could clog your filter up, and your air conditioning suddenly overheats. Now your patients are warm in the hospital. So we have to always keep an eye on everything.
Did you have that happen any time? Seaweed?
Multiple times.
Multiple times.
We would go through a patch of seaweed. Underway, we never had patients, so it was more for the comfort of the people living on board if the air conditioning stayed on. But there were a couple times where we would hit a patch of seaweed and it would get stuck in the entrance grating and it would slowly come into the ship. So for 2 or 3 hours, me and 3 of my buddies, we all had to just sit down there. We'd stop a pump, open up the cover, pull out the seaweed, close it, and go on to the next one, hours on end.
You had 3 other people.
We've had 5 people doing that job at once.
But they're not engineers.
Those people were engineers.
Let's start up from the hierarchy now. You have the chief engineer.
Chief engineer.
And what's after that?
So traditionally, on most commercial ships, you have a very small crew. I don't work for a traditional merchant marine company.
You work for a particular company then?
Yes.
And that company is contracted by the United States government?
Yes. So, well, it's not contracted, but it is under the Department of Defense umbrella.
Okay, and then they get their funds from taxpayers?
Yes.
Okay. So now what happens now? You got a chief engineer?
So normally you have a chief engineer in charge of paperwork and making calls and figuring out how pieces move. You have the first engineer who is in charge of day-to-day operations. You're the guy down below checking everything, making sure repairs are going well, and you're the liaison between the engine room and the chief engineer's office. And then you have a second engineer in charge of the engines, in charge of fuel, and boilers. And then you have the third engineer in charge of auxiliary equipment, and then you'll normally have 2 or 3 oilers on top of that, just to help out, clean the engine room, help you with projects. With the company I work for, Military Sealift Command, MSC, we operate a little bit like the Navy, where we put in more people than we need, which I'm grateful for because there are plenty of times where you need all the bodies you can get. Traditionally, for us, we have a chief engineer, a first engineer, 2 second engineers, and anywhere from 2 to 5 third engineers. But because of the nature of this hospital ship, we actually had 7 third engineers on board. We had 2 separate engineering plants that needed to be fully manned at all times. So 2 watch teams. So at any point, there were 2 licensed engineers in the engine room, 24 hours a day.
Have you ever gone to a situation where you didn't sleep that night?
I've never gone through a full night, but there's been a couple times where if you're in an unmanned engine room, like on previous ships I've been, you're in charge of answering alarms that go off at night. So when an alarm goes off, you go downstairs, you solve the problem. Sometimes it takes you an hour to figure it out. You go back to bed, and another alarm goes off. You just got to go. And there's a lot of ships will sit there and they recognize that, hey, you didn't get a lot of sleep last night, so take it easy during the day. But sometimes the job's just got to get done, and you just got to keep going.
Well, how many ships have you actually toured or gone on?
I've worked on 6 ships, 2 at school and 4 in my professional career.
How many years is that? 6 years?
In my professional career, 5.5, coming on 6 years now. Important for retirement. And while I was at school, I did 2 weeks on a commercial ship as kind of an internship, just to get experience.
Now, you said retirement. How old are you?
I'm 27 right now. Hey, you got to start putting the money away.
Well, I see.
Yeah.
You're not figuring. Now, I'm going to ask you this then. What does the future hold for you? This is premature now because we still got another while to talk about the Merchant Marine, but what is your future now that you've been there for 6 or 8 years? You planning on being there for 20 years, or?
I don't plan 20 years. I'd like to have my chief engineer's license and sail on that. Right now, I have my first engineers in diesel engines, and I have my second engineers in steam, and third engineer in gas turbine. I'd like to get my chief engineer license in at least one of those propulsion plants, sail on that for a couple of years, and eventually come home, because right now I'm spending a couple months away from home at a time. There's something like I can go work in the Provincetown Ferry, I can go work at other research vessels in the area, so it's a job where I'm not gone for months at a time, but maybe I'm gone for a week, I get the weekends off, or normal 9 to 5, drive into Boston, get on a ferry, go to Provincetown and come back, and then I'm home at the end of the day.
Yeah, now that makes me ask, if there's 12 months in a year, what would you say your on board ship, or even a week? Sometimes you have to be a week or two at Norfolk, Virginia before you even get on a ship.
So right now, MSC, their current system for mariners is minimum of 120 days on board the ship. So you get on and you cannot leave pending an emergency, whether it's family or medical, for 120 days. At 60 days, you can put in a notice and say, I'd like to leave on day 120. And then the company will send someone out to replace you. Right now, there's a shortage of mariners in the company. So sometimes it takes you a month or two to get a relief. So this past time, I spent 2 months past my requested date on board, and they added that to my time off. I get an extra couple days at home. We get 60 days minimum paid time off, and then they add in some of your overdue days. So I got approved for 3 months to stay home, and then it's coming up in a few weeks, I got to head back to work.
So when did you first get home here now? In August?
Yeah, I came home in August.
From the USS Comfort.
USNS Comfort.
You mentioned the USN Mercy.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there's the same ship, only that's on the West Coast.
Yes, it's actually in Mobile, Alabama right now for repairs.
Okay.
But it normally sits in San Diego.
Okay, now, if you get home in August, when do you think you'll be on board another ship?
I'm aiming
January?
for a month or two from now.
So this is November 17th or something like that?
Yeah, I'm aiming for mid-December to mid-January.
Okay. When you get down there, you'll maybe be there for 2 or 3 weeks before you get on the ship.
If I were to go down there right now, all I have to do is I have to call up the chief engineer, and he'll get me on board whenever I want.
On any ship?
Well, I'm looking to head back to the hospital ship right now.
Why would you go on the hospital ship now?
Because they've been asking for me to come back, and the other guy who's been on board for a while, he needs a couple months off, and right now with the mariner shortage, they're going to prioritize other people going home. So if I sit there and I go for a few months and I give the guy a break, everyone's happier in the end. And I'll be sitting down in a repair yard in either Charleston or Alabama. We're not traveling the world, but we're doing repairs every day. I'm seeing boilers taken apart. I'm seeing insides, and it gives me valuable experience on how to conduct maintenance and operate teams and systems.
When you're not on a ship when you're assigned a ship that you've never been on before, and the people that are on that ship don't know you. Now, it's human nature, in my opinion, human nature is, oh, we got somebody new coming. Have you ever witnessed that?
All the time. So
if you're a new person?
If you're a new person on board, the general thing is that normally an email gets sent out to the ship, to the chief engineer, saying, you're getting third engineer John Doe, and they're coming on board. So what we do is we ask around, hey, have you sailed with this person before?
Okay.
And you try to figure out. If no one knows, then you just go to Facebook and you search them up.
The networking.
Yep. Okay.
And sometimes you found that the new person may be better than the one you've ever had.
Yeah, sometimes it's a bust, sometimes it's a home run. It really depends on the person. Coast Guard's deemed that person worthy of a license, so they pass the same exams, they pass the same qualifications as me, so by the book, they should get the same treatment, they should get the same ability, they should have the same ability to do their job. but it doesn't happen all the time. There are some times where you get someone on board, they're not quite as comfortable with themselves or the equipment, and you got to hold their hand a little bit, like, hey, let's go do this. Some people, you get on board, they walk on board. First day, they know everything they need to know.
That's true in life.
Yeah.
Yeah. If I get brain surgery, I hope we get run into the surgery that he or she knows what's doing between the left and right ear.
Mm-hmm.
I got a picture here of the U.S. Navy Henry J. Kaiser.
Yep.
This is the Henry J. Kaiser. In my time, 80 years ago, Henry Kaiser was a auto manufacturer. He wasn't too successful, but they had a Kaiser, and it lasted 2 or 3 or 4 years. I think it was right after the war or something like that. But Henry J. Kaiser is a familiar name to me.
Yep.
Because I grew up with that. But that's that ship. Are you familiar with the Henry J. Kaiser?
So MSC's primary purpose is
MSC is
Military Sea Lift Command.
Maritime Sea Lift Command.
Military.
Military Sea Lift Command, MSC.
Yep.
Okay.
So the primary purpose of who I work for is to resupply the Navy. We go out and we give the Navy fuel, we give them food, we give them sometimes ammunition that's needed overseas. So the ship that you're showing right there is the first in the class of Henry J. Kaiser tankers. They were built in the 80s, and they're named after prominent shipbuilders and manufacturers in the country. So there's about 13 of those ships floating around right now. And I haven't sailed on that one personally. I've been there when they were scrapping it, getting some spare parts from it. But I've been on the 2 in the class after it. So that is tanker 187. I've been on tanker 188 and 189.
Well, you seem to know what the heck you're doing, but I don't know the difference between 189 and 183 and 181. Whatever they mean. Oh, that. So would you ever possibly serve on one of those?
I've served on not that one, but 2 more of that one.
Would you say your job would be just as responsible or asking more responsibilities than, say, they're on the comfort ship?
So when I was on the tanker, it was the John Lenthal and the Joshua Humphreys. My job was, I showed up as a 3rd engineer, and I was in charge of ensuring the lube oil for the engines was good, in charge of producing water for the crew, and for the cooling systems on the vessel, on top of maintaining sewage and air compressors. When I was on the John Lenthal, I was promoted what's called a cargo engineer, 2nd cargo. And my job was all those towers that you see on the front of the ship there, they have hoses and they have rigs and they have winches. And that's how we get fuel and goods over to the Navy ships, whether it's a destroyer, carrier, or cruiser. We have to give them whatever goods they need. So it was my job to make sure that the equipment worked, and when we were fueling, I was the one operating the pumps. So I was actually in a little room below the bridge of the ship, looking down, and I had a whole board. I had open valves, start pumps, and I was in constant communication with those on deck, and they would talk to the other ship, and they would tell me, hey, I need this much fuel. And I'd, yes, sir, press a button, give it to them. So depending on how you view responsibility, I would say they're the same because the job's got to get done one way or another.
I seem to, and I don't know if you could answer this question, but let's go back 80 years to World War II, and you're in the Pacific, the United States Navy, and they need to get fueled. Another Navy ship is fueling them?
Yep.
Or was the Merchant Marine fueling them?
At the time, it was the Navy. So MSC's been around for just over 75 years now.
Okay, right after the war they started that.
Right after the war they started.
So in the future then, it looks like the Merchant Marine's going to be right in the middle of it also, if there was that type of conflict.
Yep. In emergency situations, we have had commercial tankers come out and give fuel. The aircraft carriers do have the ability to send fuel to other ships if needed. I know they're nuclear, but they do have jet fuel on board that they carry for the jets, the helicopters, and you are able to burn that in engines. So you are able to take fuel from a carrier, give it to another Navy vessel, but primarily it is military SEALs command given that fuel.
If you change fuel, what has to be done on the hardware of the ship that's getting the changing of the fuel? I mean, if you're using oil and then you're going into a gas turbine or something like that.
They all burn the same thing.
Oh, really?
Yep. So when we give fuel to, say, a destroyer, they have a separate engine than us. They have gas turbine, which is essentially an airplane jet engine on the inside of their ship. And we have traditional internal combustion engines. And we burn the exact same fuel that they do. So one day I could sit there and take fuel from a tank. I can go give it to USS Destroyer over there. And then the next day I'll take the fuel from our own storage tanks and I'll put it back into our own tanks to burn. Same fuel, different types of plants.
Now, when they're burning this, they're creating steam.
Exhaust.
Exhaust?
Yeah.
What, I'm not an engineer.
Yeah. No, so like, are you talking about on the Comfort with the type of plant it is?
What turns these propellers?
So on the ships like the Comfort, they're traditional steam turbines. So
you got steam there?
Yes, those ships are steam.
Okay.
But
a ship that's not steam?
It's a diesel engine. So
direct, right to the propellers.
So there are ships that are direct. There's also ships that are non-direct. So what they've come out with more recently is diesel-electric vessels, where instead of having an engine tied into a shaft of a propeller, you have an engine tied to a generator, and that produces power for the whole ship. And then you have one very large motor for the propeller itself, and that draws from your normal generator sets.
Now, did you learn a lot of this basic stuff at the training school?
Yes.
Really?
Yep. We were required to take classes on all the propulsion plants.
And you had to remember it?
Had to remember it. We had to study it to...
Of course you had to remember it.
It doesn't mean I retained it, but I had to remember it to pass my exam.
You're not there for 4 years to look out the window.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You gain invaluable experience just by being on the vessels. If I had to spend 4 years every day on a ship as opposed to in a class, I would have learned way more than I did, because I learned by actually going through and doing everything. So sitting in a class, memorizing questions wasn't the best time, but once I got into work and once I got my hands dirty, it made it a little easier to move forward.
I've got another ship here. It's called an oiler ship.
So that is the new oilers that we have.
It's what?
Those are the new class of oilers.
Well, it says here in parentheses, FITY -CLUB, club, FITY club, FITY.
I don't know what that means.
40 club. Well, anyway, it's an oiler ship, and
so the previous oiler ship you showed me, the Henry J. Kaiser, is the older class.
Oh, this is a new one.
What you're showing me now is the newer oiler class.
Okay.
The John Lewis class.
John Lewis?
Yep. So those ships, the tankers are traditionally named after rivers, and then with the Kaiser class, they decided to name them after shipbuilders. They did go back to rivers halfway through, but there's a lot of shipbuilders in there. And then the new class they named after civil rights and women's suffrage and just other people of note, generally in the last couple decades. Ruth Bader Ginsburg, John Lewis. There was a ship that was named after Harvey Milk that was just recently changed to the Oscar Peterson. But they've been naming them after civil rights. Thurgood Marshall is another one they've also done.
Well, I guess, I got something here that's kind of nice. How do you like that? Apprentice seaman training.
Yeah, that was for the guys who wanted to get the hands-on experience from the get-go.
Yeah.
So not everyone needs to go to a 4-year school to...
Apprentice seaman training prepares young men 18 to 23 for a career in the American Merchant Marine. Apply to the United States Maritime Service in Washington, D.C. But it says young men. Oh, well, we got to change that.
That's an old flyer there. But
yeah.
back in, even today, you don't need a license you don't need to be a licensed officer to sail. I can go talk to my cousin who's 18 and I can be like, hey, you want to sail, but you don't want to go to school for 4 years, we can get you your stewards or your wipers endorsement and you can go out on a ship.
And then some of them go to the training school after and go higher in the ranks.
Some do, but most don't. Once you're in the industry, for them it's worth the time to, because I had to pay to go to school, and the people, we call it hawse piping, where you start at the bottom and work your way up. Those people, in my opinion, you gain much more valuable experience because you're working on the ship while obtaining your sea days, as opposed to me. I was sitting in the classroom in a training ship in a very controlled environment. So these people who hawse pipe, they join the industry, they start as an oiler, they work their way up, they get the sea time, they take the classes, they get their sign-offs, and eventually they take their third engineer's exam, and they can pass it, and then they're an officer just like me, but they got paid the whole time.
Well, there's a certain thing that we have in our life called a clock.
Yep.
And it keeps on moving. Time wastes and not waste for anybody. But I took one line here, it says, participate in an apprenticeship program if you want to become an officer in the Merchant Marine. An excellent first step is to take part in a apprenticeship program. And it shows a picture here of a ship with all kinds of cargo.
So there are schools, unlike mine, that you go into school as I went in with 0 sea days, 0 experience, and I got my license. There are schools where they send you out as an unlicensed deckhand or an oiler, and while you're there, you do your time on a ship, you come home, you take your classes, you take your exams, and you move up. It's not a quick overnight process, but those apprenticeship programs are built towards people who they don't want to sit in a class, but they want to go out and they want to actually learn hands-on. And there's a school, it's called Piney Point, and that's one of those schools where you have the ability to go out and obtain your license through actually going out working on the ship. But they, for the most part, put out the unlicensed workers, which are just as important to a ship as the licensed officers.
Well, it was very nice talking to you. I had a lot of questions I wanted to ask you in case we still had time, but you were such an inclusive guest. You carried the football all the way down the field.
Yeah, someone's got to throw it to me.
Yeah, you carried it down. And the football field is three lengths long.
Yeah, they're...
You know, okay?
Those ships get
well,
big.
Let's see, 900 feet. Oh, 900 feet is how many yards? It's only
300 yards, 3 fields.
300 yards.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's a long way.
Yep.
But anyway, if you could talk to a younger person, what would you say to him?
About this specifically?
Yeah, if they were 17 and 16 in high school, this and that, girl or boy, what would you say to them about?
I'd tell them to give it a look, because especially up here in Massachusetts, there is a maritime academy in Buzzards Bay out in the Cape. It's not the most glamorous, it's not the prettiest job in the world, but if you want to go out, you want to see the world, if you want to go out and you want to make money coming out of school, this, I believe, is the industry to do it, because they have done studies and the maritime schools are generally in the top 10 of your return on investment for going into, for what you put into school and what you get out in your salary. It's a higher up. The ROI is much higher, and that is because you are gone for a long time from home. I have friends who have hitches that are 30 days on, 30 days off. I do hitches, my longest I've done, it was 10 months straight without going home. But I look at it as I'm being compensated very well for my time. I don't have kids personally, so while my wife and I are living as dual income, no kids, let me just do this, let me get my money, and let's settle in for the long haul.
Yeah, before I leave, if you're only on one tour or two tours, and you get time off, so to speak, in between, you're still, the association is still got it leveled out so that your yearly annual salary is compensated. In other words, you're not just on the clock and then you're off the clock and off the clock.
So I'm on paid leave right now. So I've been out of work essentially since August, but I'm still receiving a paycheck. I'm still getting paid. I still have my benefits being paid for. That's because they deem it as that's a necessary component for, can't think of the word, just quality of life.
Don't feel bad. I can't think of them. A lot of words.
Yeah, quality of life.
Thank you very much, Brandon, for stepping in here. It was very, very exciting to hear some of the ins and outs of your career. Not many people give it any thought whatsoever. It's something then you really opened up the can of worms, you might say.
Yeah, no, we definitely need more people to know about the merchant marine, not only commercially, not only with MSC, but in general, because it is it's not a dying industry, but you don't think about how important it is every day. Everything that comes in to this country through ships, you need someone on board to operate it. You need someone on the pier to make sure it gets tied up. You need someone at the port to make sure that all the goods are getting off. It's a very unsung job, in my opinion. I enjoy what I do. I hope that other people can find the job, find out about it, and they can enjoy it as much as I do. I've been paid to travel to Singapore. I've been paid to travel to Europe and South America. So I've gotten plenty of opportunities and experiences out of this that I enjoy, that I hope others can find out about.
Thank you very much for being on camera today.
Thank you for having me, Nick.
Okay. That's it for now, and we'll see you next time on Nick's Corner TV. Bye-bye.